actors don't have a lot of say over that, and I'm not at the level to like, I need to have my name like this, but I do ask. I just say, look, I only have one, I'm happy to, if you would just do me the favor of just doing, this is how it is, but I don't make a big deal of it, there's just, there are other things in life to really complain about and really worry, and that's not one of them. But it is nice when people do that, because that's a in my book, it's like, oh, that's who he is, boom, So
I want to welcome you to another episode of Media from the Heart. My name is Ruth Hill, and I'm your host. And as we kick off this second season of my podcast, which just kind of blows my mind, you guys have made this happen. I am honored and privileged to introduce you all to an actor by the name of Scott Summit. I've known him for a while, but it was our first virtual or any kind of meeting. I've gotten to interview him before, but this was a very special podcast. Maybe you don't know who Scott is, but I'm going to make a prediction. By the end of this podcast, you are going to be in love with Scott Summit, and you're going to say, where can I watch everything he's ever been in? Just be sure you check out the links. And so without any further ado, Scott Summit. Well, I want to welcome you to another episode of Media from the Heart. My name is Ruth Hill, and I'm your host. And today I always have a very special guest. I mean, that's what I'm always saying, but it's true. Scott Summit is actually somebody that we connected a couple years ago, and I did an interview, and it was done via email. Well, it's an upgrade. We have just finally met over Zoom. I was going to say in person. I mean, I guess it's as close to as in person as you can get right now.
Right.
It's so nice to have you, Scott. So nice to meet you finally, and get to have this conversation. And thank you for being here.
Oh, I am humbled to be here, and it is a pleasure to finally meet you. This is like interview 2.0 for us, for as far as the tech and everything goes, and I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for your invitation.
My pleasure. And we have a nice virtual audience that I'm sure we'll be hearing from a little bit later here. But I want to introduce you guys to Scott. For those who are unfamiliar with him, I have a wonderful little bio to read about him. So, Scott Summit plays characters who are smart, funny, and a little quirky. An accomplished film, TV, and voiceover actor, Scott appears in standout co-star and guest star roles on NBC, Up Network, Comedy Central, feature films, and web series. His creativity and love for film goes behind the camera as well. He's co-directed and executive produced several award-winning short films, a feature-length documentary about superhero entertainment, and a comedy web series. On camera, on microphone, or on stage, Scott's dedication and commitment to his craft, coupled with his focus and lively energy, always leaves you wondering what's next from the guy who's offbeat, smart, and full of heart, which I love that ending. By the way, I love that. I think that was lots of fun. When I was reading through it, reviewing that bio, I loved that. And that's actually when I invited people to come, that was the phrase that I took out of your bio, because I really liked that.
Fantastic. You don't know how long it took to like brainstorm that log line. I was working with a casting agent that I was she works with actors and has this wonderful program, and we were working on log lines, and that took a long time to melt when you're trying to think of everything that you do and then to kind of put it into one little succinct summation, like that. It was really took a lot of hard work, but I'm glad you like it, because that means I was on the right track with that. So
that's right. So I know you and I've done an interview before. Some people may have read that, and some people might be familiar with your work. But I want to first of all ask the question, because I know that this is a question. Now, people who are watching this might not realize how you spell your name, the way in which you spell it. Because it's a little bit, just like what we read about it being a little bit offbeat, you might describe it as offbeat, a little bit quirky. It's very unique to who you are. Um, and, and so for those who have wondered, was Ruth just misspelling your name? Was she just like, why didn't she capitalize the S on Scott? And why did she capitalize the C? So for my listeners, viewers, would you mind explaining why you spell your name the way you do?
Okay, it's the spelling. It's always the spelling question. The name. What's up with that? And you can always, depending on the situation, you could always say, oh well, it's got a representation. No, it's a. Yeah, it started out, in all. I'm going to go on the record here.
Yeah.
In all honesty, it started out as a typo. I was typing Scott so fast. But then, and I was like, ugh, and I'd have to go back and redo it. And then it just seemed like it was becoming a very natural thing to do. And so I just kind of took that as a sign. I'm like, yeah, this is really kind of more who I am. I know it's kind of hard to explain that, but I always just say, well, the big O in the middle represents my heart, because I'm a big heart centric performer. So I usually say with that, but it's good for opening conversations. And honestly, it just seems like I have grown into it. What started out as like a mistake, and now it's like, no, this is who I am. It's just so, if you wanted to spell Ruth with a Q, I'd be like, hey, I'd be all for it. Why not?
There you go. Well, the only problem I have is that it always autocorrects. And that's what I'm running into, because I'll be writing it along and then I'm like, wait a minute, that's not how it's supposed to go. Why did you you're supposed to autocorrect.
Right. You can always blame it on the autocorrect, or shake your fist at me, when you're typing.
So does this become an issue, like when they are listing in credits? Are you one of those people who are very insistent about it being written that way, or do you just go with whatever they go with?
I am a stickler for accuracy. I won't lie about that. But sometimes when there are filmmakers and people I've worked with who will do it just as it is in the contract, and that's how it's listed on my SAG card. So that's kind of my professional, But then there are people who just put it into the credits and then the end crawl. Actors don't have a lot of say with that, and I'm not at the level to like, I need to have my name like this, but I do ask. I just say, look, I only have one. I'm happy to, if you would just do me the favor of just doing this is how it is. But I don't make a big deal of it. There's just there are other things in life to really complain about or really worry, and that's not one of them. But it is nice when people do that, because that that's a in my book, it's like, oh, that's who he is, boom, so
right. Yeah.
Yes and no.
Okay. Yeah. But that's, well, and I kind of figured that, but I think it definitely sets you apart. And I've never forgotten that your name's like that. Cause I remember, I know I asked you about it. I'm sure I asked you about it in the first interview, and we talked about it, but it's just nice to hear it just because I know I could just imagine people who have not read that are thinking, why did you do that?
It's a good conversation starter.
It is.
I've had people in the casting room when I've gone for auditions, like, oh wow, this is, you spell your name, and that just kind of opens the door. So it's got that, it's useful in that way too.
Right. Well, and I think it really does go with who you are as an actor, as an artist, because you're not one that if you look over your list of credits, you're not put in a box or really necessarily typecast, other than sometimes it seems like you might be not always playing the nicest of people in your roles sometimes. So
in recent years, people have kind of like taken me, like when I've gotten cast in the past, I'll play. I get cast for a lot of comedy, and I love comedy because my background is before film and television was in stage and improv and that sort of thing. So I love to make people laugh. I mean, that's just it fills me with such joy when somebody's is moved by your performance. And then in recent years, people have started to who cast me into some different character,
Mhm.
which kind of just allows you as an actor to kind of show that I'm not just a comedic actor, which I don't mind,
Right.
but it's like, well, like I did a film a couple of years ago called Orphan Horse with John Voight,
Mhm.
and that was not a very nice character,
Mhm.
and so that was a challenge for me, which I really, you always want an artistic challenge to try to play any role with authenticity and as truthfully
Mhm.
as you can, and so it was really nice to kind of stretch into some other realms that you don't normally play. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I was looking through your credits, and that one actually stood out to me because I realized, wait a minute, somehow I missed this one. Um, and when I saw it was a John Voight, I was like, how did I miss this one? So, is that particular movie, is it available for streaming somewhere?
yes, I have 3 or 4 projects that are on Video
Oh,
Prime
okay. Oh,
or
okay,
Prime
good.
Video, so you can stream them.
Oh, good.
I think if
Okay.
you put my name in, or if not, go to my IMDb page, and
Right.
I think in the right side of the screen, there's a place that lists some of the projects that you can stream and when they're
Mm,
on. So
okay. Okay, that's good to, yeah, because I know that past couple years it's been crazy and I do not always keep up with things. And actually the thing is there's so many streaming services now, and I subscribe to so many streaming services
yeah,
that
it's a little
sometimes
overwhelming sometimes, but
it can be.
it's nice to have choices.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was well, Orphan Horse was the name of that movie, right?
Right.
Right.
That was with John Voight and Eva LaRue, and just a that was
Yeah.
we shot that in down in Kentucky,
Oh.
beautiful
Mhm.
countryside, working with fantastic crew of people and actors, and lovely. Oh, the horses were just fantastic. That was a really lovely shoot.
Wow. Yeah, well, it's that one, it certainly caught my attention. I'm gonna look that one up because
Okay, and it's a
yeah,
good family film, so
that's
it's
yeah.
not too there's nothing in that's too objectionable. Even like the stuff that some of the stuff I had to do, they kinda kinda cut some of it
Yeah.
out to kind of keep it on the up and up, but,
Right.
I was playing a pretty dark character in that, so
Mm, okay.
it was interesting, but
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm definitely gonna look that one up. I would that intrigued me. So jumping back a little bit, so and I know you and I were talking before the podcast, but that wasn't recording then. So
Mhm, okay.
so if you could let us know where you're from, because people, of course, are going to want to say, well, where is this guy from? And so if you could tell us
I
where you're
kind of
from.
joke here, there, and everywhere because I kind of work all over the place. But
Yeah.
I'm an Air Force brat. I was born in California,
Mhm.
and then my dad we lived temporarily in Arkansas, and then my dad got a job in Dayton, Ohio, where there's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So I've been back and forth. Grew up kind of in Ohio, and then been back and forth from Ohio to California. I'm in Ohio as of this recording because
Mhm.
we've been hunkered down because of
Mhm.
the pandemic and
Yeah.
everything. But so I'm a Midwesterner at heart, golden boy by birth, and raised by two lovely, good Southern parents. So I've
Oh,
had a good upbringing. So they always say, "Yes, sir," "No, sir," "Yes, ma'am," "No, ma'am," and that
yeah.
sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. All right. Well, that gives me some context there,
okay.
and my viewers, I'm sure, will appreciate that. Well, that now, and of course, hearing your parents being Southern, that explains why you're this genuinely nice, down to earth guy. I mean, I would hope.
Oh,
I would hope that everybody from the South would be that way. But just you always have given this. You always seem to be such this nice, almost not, I don't want to class you as being necessarily old fashioned, but you have those old fashioned values. Maybe that would be the way to say it. And
well,
it comes across.
Well, good. Then, I mean, my mother would be happy to hear that, that she did. I mean, manners and kindness, those are important things to me. You know, a
Mhm.
lot of people seem to forget that, especially when you're working in the entertainment business. A
Mm.
lot of people can really be, how to say this without being sounding too judgy, but you know, people can really be just terrible, you
Mm.
know, because
Mhm.
everybody kind of gets to be, you know, I've been very lucky that I've worked with so many wonderful down to earth people and positive
Mhm.
people, but you know, sometimes you can buy your own myth in of how important you are in this business, and that can kind of get in the way of, you know, how you treat other human beings. And I wasn't raised that way. And I consider, and I'm just literally, you know, just so grateful to have been able to, you know, be a part of our industry as an actor, because that's something I had always dreamed about. And then when I was able to start working, and I was like, at that point, I'm going to treat everybody with so much respect and kindness, you know, because we're not put on this earth to be miseries to one another. You know, we need to really just encourage one another and lift each other up, because you know that's some of the most important work that one can do with themselves in this life. You know, whatever work you do, whether you're an actor or if you're a grocer or a traffic cop, whatever it is you do, just be kind.
Oh, that is so true. Oh, Scott, it's good to hear you say that. And I'm so in line with that. And I think that the past couple of years has definitely, as we've seen, we've not always seen that displayed, but hopefully we are emerging from this pandemic. I'm saying we're emerging. I'm hoping that's the case, that there's some indications that maybe we are. Maybe we're seeing a little light at the end of the tunnel. But hopefully we are emerging having learned that during this time, because it's been such a difficult time. We've realized how important it is to be kind, and the importance of community. And
Right. I
yeah.
mean, that's that. If anybody comes out of this pandemic, you know, at least being a little more enlightened to, like, you know, we're all in this boat together. We're all dealing with this as best we can. There's really no uh, point in being so up in arms about so many
Yeah.
things or so negative or whatever. And the older I get, the more I'm sort of like, I'm just really push against negativity by going like, you know what, I'm going to give them a smile. I'm going to put something out that's going to lift somebody up. I'm going to say hello. I'm going to, because those are like, in my mind, those are little positive rebellions of positive revolution. You know, I know that sounds weird, but it's just like the smallest little bit of goodness that you can do on a daily basis can really have such a ripple effect. You know, you may say a kind word to somebody, and that's the first nice thing that somebody's heard that day. You know, you don't know what that the littlest kindnesses that you do in the world have such an immense effect, you know,
Mhm.
such a positive effect. And any chance that you can slip in a little bit of kindness into your day, don't be afraid. It's fun. It's I mean, and it's not you know because it's just people need to be in this time. People just need to be lifted up in any way that we can do that. And if we can be saying a kind word or doing a podcast, you know,
Mhm.
that spread a message, or doing a performance in a film that people really like laugh or cry, or it makes them feel good. I mean, that's sacred work to me,
Mhm.
you know, that we should be um, you know, really just kind to one another, because you never know what anybody the other person's going through. And so, you know, don't don't put that weight back on their back. Take it off by saying hello, or helping them out, or holding a door, whatever. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture, but you have a way much more power to lift people up, you know, than the ease of like tearing people down with judgments and negativity and all that stuff. And I just don't have time for that. I don't have time for that,
I hear you.
you know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Scott, I'm so glad. This is why I do the podcast, to have the moments that what you were just saying. I mean, I love getting to hear these kinds of authentic expressions from the people I've been interviewing, because I never know. I used to be very regimented in the way that I would do interviews. And so that's why when we did the email interview, it's like, okay, when, it was very regimented. Not that it was bad. It was just that that was the way I used to live my life. And then what I love about these podcasts is I never know quite for sure what direction we're headed. And I love, it's moments like what you just said was so important, so and so authentic, and really such a simple, simple. I mean, it's simple to say and it should be simple to practice, but there's so many people who don't choose to put into practice what this truth that you just spoke forth. But
and it takes practice. It really does, because we all, I mean, I'm not saying, I don't have my days where I'm like, don't get near me. I can be just as crabby and negative as the next person, but I try to mindfully live my life to not put that out there. Like even in my social media, I as easy as it is to throw shade at people or tear people down, or rail against whatever's going on, I think it's more important to try to use it as an opportunity or a megaphone to put that goodness out there, to put some positive messages out there. I mean, I've had people send me from all over the place send me a DM on Twitter, and they're like, "Oh, thank you for putting that out there." And I'll be honest, like, some of the things I put out on there are reminders to myself that morning to don't give up or do this or whatever. But if it touches somebody else and lifts them up, I mean, I'm humbled by that. I'm just so genuinely humbled that if anything I'm doing or put out there, lifts another person up, or empowers them to, take that goodness and pass it along, pay it forward. I mean, that's beyond words, and that's just incredible to me. And I'm glad, and I would, there are a lot of people out there who are putting good things out there, and so you just kind of have to look for those little candles, those light that people are putting out in this, because everything is, I'm like, right now everything is kind of dark and scary, you know, and all just trying to get through it and not and not let it get us down is really more important now. So I try to take every opportunity to, cheer somebody on or lift them up or something. And that's, again, like I said, it doesn't have to be a big deal and anybody can do it. But
Right.
when you just challenge yourself to go, hey, what can I do to help you out here today? Or what can I say that's going to genuinely be a compliment or an attaboy or that sort of thing. That's so important to me to again, it's kind of like it's railing. It's like a positivity revolution,
Mhm.
the world certainly needs that, or needs to be reminded that we are all in this together, and we
Right.
need to lift each other up.
Right. Yeah, I love that. Scott Summit and the Positivity Revolution. That should be there you go. We should get
Right.
that movement going. And
No, right. Put that on Twitter. Hashtag positivity revolution.
I love that. I think that's great. I love that you said that. And I'm gonna definitely remember that. And it's the way I live my life as well. But I like the way you phrase that. And I just, again, I hear your Midwestern and Southern roots and all that coming through in the way that even the way that you're saying it. I really appreciate that. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. That means a lot to me, and I can assure you, my viewers and listeners are going to love hearing that as well. Um, so it comes to my mind that you've been in this business long enough that you were around before social media was a thing. You,
Yes, thankfully, I've made the majority of my mistakes before social media. So, but you can't. There's always a picture from something or somewhere that you're like, oh, you still have that. They'll scan it and slide it into their Instagram or something, and you just have to say, yep, that was me. I did that.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I mean. Starting out before it was so easy to, even before email, that's I don't want to
Mhm.
date myself. I'll let everybody else carbon date me, you know, but but yeah, I mean, I had, it all started with, like, I've always loved film. I have always just something about the cinema and film has always just really sparked my imagination. And when I was very young, I found my dad's Super 8 film camera. It was about that big, and it came with a cartridge of film. It was about yay big. It had 3 minutes on it. And when I learned how to do that, boy, howdy, did I go crazy making films. I made short little films with all of the neighborhood kids, nothing that was ever Oscar worthy. Most of it was pretty terrible, but or amusing from, get, and now I'm sort of like, wow, if I only had a quarter of the technology then that everybody has now to produce things, I could have really leveled up my game. But even then in the analog age, I was able to kind of start cultivating and learning, about things like get a shot, how to edit, how to
Mhm.
tell a story, and so that really has kind of been one of those weird little threads that follow you through your life that you're like, oh, someday I want to work in film and television, and by years later, here I am. I'm working with a lot of just so many talented actors and crew members, and it's really kind of a dream come true in many ways, where I'm working on a scene. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's an Academy Award winner looking me in the face. I mean, like, and you just want to, you got to keep it together because you're like, you don't want to go all fanboy all over everybody,
Right.
which is hard sometimes because you're like, oh, nice to meet you. I'm a big fan, but you're there to do a job,
Right.
but hopefully you can, in between takes or after that, you can get a picture with them to put up on your Twitter page or whatever. And so
Exactly.
it's just, yeah. So yeah, it's now that we've got all of this technology, it's so easy to create and
Mhm.
produce and do things like your podcast and
Mhm. Right.
and people shooting short films and web series and
Mhm.
documentary. I mean, you people are shooting feature length films like on their cell phones,
I know.
on the
I
iPhone,
know.
and I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
That puts that power into so many people's hands to tell their stories or to start in their backyard or whatever, if they have any aspirations of working, in the entertainment field, that you can start anywhere. And even if you don't have any big aspirations of being a movie star or
Mhm.
whatever, you can still create your own work. And
Mhm.
that is incredibly exciting to me,
Wow.
to do that. I mean, I've worked with people on producing short films
Mhm.
and web series and all of that. And it's really amazing how the technology has simplified the process. And so many people, are now learning how to do computer graphics
Mhm.
and edit. And then you have these like I worked on a science fiction web series called Aiden 5,
Mhm.
which was like, and they did that all against the blue, like a green screen. So
Yeah.
when we were doing our scenes, we were, just playing opposite one another. But then when you saw the ending, they had put in the backgrounds, and all these were like hand drawn backgrounds that they did,
Mhm.
and filters and everything. It had just this film noir sci-fi look, and
Yeah.
it was incredible that they did this at home on their computers. I mean, I'm always impressed by people like that. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I produced and I've directed and written some, but
Mhm.
first and foremost, I love to act. But then when I see when people take what you've done and then blow it up after that and see the end result, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I've been in this for a long time, but I never stop being, amazed by
Mhm.
the incredible things that people can create on every level of the business. It's just, I never want to stop learning because I'm always the kind of like, wow, that's how did you do that? I always want to ask questions. I try not to be a pest when I'm on set or whatever, but when I see somebody doing something, I like to, I like to learn,
Right.
because I think it just makes a more well-rounded performer.
Well, there you go. That would explain why your career, even though, okay, it's not like you may not be an A-lister, which I don't know, it's not but thankfully you're a working actor. I mean, you've got, and really, my that's where the heart and soul is. I mean, as far as I'm concerned in the industry, I'm not saying, I mean, sure, I love the A-listers, I love the leading actors. I'm not saying I don't, but when you think of the films and shows that we watch, it's those actors that we might not even know their names, but we start seeing their faces pop up, and we know that they're going to have that character role that's
Mhm.
significant to the plot. I mean, right away, what comes to my mind is still probably one of my favorite films of yours, Runaway Romance, which just absolutely, I still, I mean, and I know your role was. Some people could say, "Oh, well, it was a small role," but your role was pretty doggone significant in that
I
film.
got a lot of screen time.
Yeah,
I won't,
that's
and I
good.
got, and that was another really fun
Yeah.
uh, a project to work on because like I had gotten the audition from my agents in Louisville, Kentucky,
Mhm.
and they sent it in, and I self-taped. As you can see, I've got this background. This is all
Okay.
part of my home studio, and
Okay. Yeah.
I did my auditions, and then the day came where like you need to come down to Louisville because you've got a callback, and
Mhm.
whenever if nobody knows what a callback is, a callback means they wanted to see you again. They really liked what you did in the first audition, and
Mhm.
so now you're like, okay, this is the next phase two.
Mhm.
And I was gonna audition in front of the director Brian Herzlinger and the producer George Shemaya. Um, and I was there, and it was what was funny. It was like I had gotten called back. And I'm sitting out in the hall, and there's like five other guys and me, and all these guys are like, they're like good looking guys. You could like drop each and every one of those into like a Hallmark movie, and they would like fit the mold, and they would be perfect, and all that sort of stuff. And then I was like, I'm not, which I was like Sesame Street, which one of these things is not like the others. And I went in when they called me in, and we had a good conversation, and I auditioned, and then they were like, "Oh, it says on your resume you improviser." I'm like, "Yes, what do you want me to do?" So I did the scene like 2 or 3 times for
Mhm.
them, and they were laughing, and if you can make them laugh, even whether or not you get the part, you've left them with a good experience. So
Mhm.
if not this movie, maybe you get picked up for another production, and that's happened to me before.
Right.
And then I left, when I was leaving, going, "Okay, I had a good time. That was fun." And then
Mhm.
my agent calls me a short time. She's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm home. I was driving back to Ohio." And she's
Mhm.
like, "Wait, just wait for a second." And then she called me again, and she's like, "They want you to play the role," and that's always like, that was an
Yeah.
exciting experience, but and then I got to work with an incredible, cast of younger actors, you know, uh Danielle
Mhm.
Church, and didn't work with Trevor Donovan. We didn't have any scenes together, but I
Okay.
met him
Yeah.
on set. Really just such a
Oh,
genuinely
yeah. Yeah.
nice fellow. And Gladriel Steinman, and then
Mhm.
working with I worked mostly with Tatum O'Neal in
Yes.
the scenes, and
Yeah.
so I'm like, that was just fun. I'm
Yeah.
like, here I am working opposite, and I've liked Tatum's work, ever since she was, young, so again, it's like you're on set, and you're like, what am I doing here? I feel somebody else should be sitting here, but then an acting teacher told me, they said, "Look, when you're on set, you did something right.
Mhm.
That's yours, so enjoy it. Be thankful and just enjoy that you did something." And they just, uh, liked the lightness, I guess, I brought to the role, and it was a fun part. And they even let me improvise, like some of the lines in there aren't in the script, that were in there. And I won't say which ones, but we were having fun on set. I was dropping in names of the set people, assistant director, when I was, bellowing at several people, and it was just fun. They were. I think they got a kick out of being name dropped in the productions too, and and it just was, and it's just a lovely story.
Oh,
I've had
that
a lot of
was.
people, just a lot of people tell me how much they really enjoyed.
Yes.
Who doesn't like a good romance story, right?
Right. Well,
You know,
yeah. Well, and then when you put a little bit of Amish stuff to it, I mean, it's well, and then for those who I could tell you that a lot of my listeners and viewers are huge Trevor Donovan fans, and if they haven't seen this movie, it's definitely worth seeing. It's it didn't air on Hallmark, but it aired, but it was a really good one.
yeah, it was on the Up net or Up
Yes,
TV,
yeah,
and I do think I may be wrong, but I do think it was shown at least once on Hallmark.
it
If I
might have been
remember.
shown on their streaming service. I think it was
Mhm.
on their streaming service, and so yeah, quite probably. But it's one to if you haven't seen it, it's well worth seeing. And Scott, your part is very memorable. I
Oh,
mean, it
well,
was
thank
like
you,
I mean,
thank you.
really, very. It was the entire. I'm still waiting for a second for a sequel to that, because
Well,
I know
they're
there was a
supposed to. At the time, they were talking.
yeah,
Uh, the author had written 3 books,
yes.
I think, and at the time they were talking about having some, a sequel
Mhm.
to that. And I'm like, you want me to come back and play
Yeah,
Doyle? I will be
yeah,
happy to do it again. So my
absolutely.
dance card's open right now, so let's make it
There
happen.
you go. There you go. I know. Well, I tend to think the pandemic did put a wrench in the works for a lot of projects, and but that doesn't mean it can't happen, because we know that sometimes sequels. Well, no, not just sometimes. Usually, it takes sequels quite a while, and unless you're an A-list, unless it's a huge studio doing it. But even those, you sometimes have to wait a while for a sequel. So
There were a lot of like major pictures
yeah,
that even got they had to just completely stop production because until we kind of got on top of COVID-19
yeah.
safety precautions and really just kind of figuring out what we're up against. But there's a lot of productions that have been getting back up to par,
Yeah.
and there was like other films that I've seen that are like, oh, you shot that during the pandemic. I had
Exactly.
I had an offer to shoot a film
Mhm.
during that, but I turned it down because I wanted to, because I'm in a multi-generational household right
Okay.
now, and I didn't want to bring anything
Exactly.
back. I had to be concerned over the health of everybody else, so I kind of, you know, had to turn that opportunity down. And believe you me, I don't like to turn down work. I don't think any actor, you know, worth their salt who wants to be a working actor should say no to everything. But I mean, you do get to a point where you're like, you can't. There are certain things that you want to do,
Right.
and certain things you don't want to do. And I've been very lucky that I've worked on a lot of different projects and stories because I wouldn't want to just be doing one thing over and over and over again. I think that would be very boring in a way. And I don't ever want to phone in. I don't want to be just phoning in a
Right.
performance. I really take pride in the preparation and everything I try to do to, make people laugh or just to genuinely help to tell the story from my role. So
Well, Scott, I don't think you'd ever phone in anything.
I
I
would
could never,
hope
I
not.
could never see you doing that. You take you take your work seriously. I mean, which you have to. I mean, I'm not saying you don't enjoy it, but you take your work seriously. I see
Well,
that in you
yeah, I mean,
strongly.
we're there to do a job. You're there when it's a lot of people see acting as like, oh, that's fun. That looks like it could be a lot of fun. And it is. But then again, we work a lot of very long hours,
Mhm.
and and the actors kind of are the kind of the face of it. But if you think about all the people behind the scenes,
Yeah.
all of the crew members and everybody who works really, really hard
Yeah.
to make that done. I mean, I have such deep respect for everybody because every job they do is helping to contribute to the production. Like so many people, we are all we're in a society where we see things we stream it for a couple of hours or an hour, or we go to the movie theater and we're like, oh, that was fun, and we don't stop to think because we're so used to like consuming, all this content. We don't stop to think about, wow, this took 3 years to make, 5 years, maybe longer, to even get it into production. And so I used to be one of those people, like we went to the movies, feel like, okay, we're out of here at the last scene. But now I'm like, no, you sit there until the end crawl goes up, because all of those people that thought maybe hundreds or thousands of names had scrolled by, everyone did an important part to make that happen. So sit there. That can be your way of saying thank you for what you did to make this happen.
That's right. Exactly. I'm assuming, Paula, you're ready, right? You're like ready. Okay. She's always ready. So yeah. So
yeah,
go for it.
Hello again.
Hi, Paula.
I'm going to a couple quick questions.
Okay.
On stage, on camera, or on mic, which do you prefer?
Oh, that's a good question. They're all different. I mean, I started out on stage. When I started back in the day, I was doing a lot of theater and plays and improvisation. And when you're doing live theater or live performances like that, you get an immediate feedback from the audience. You get the laughter or you get the applause, and there is no more immediate gratification, from to an actor than having the audience right then and there. So I guess I kind of lean toward live, although I try to bring that same energy and commitment to any of the film roles that I've been lucky to do, and now starting to do some voiceover stuff. That's fun to kind of like, I don't even have to wear makeup on camera. I can just go in there and do the voice or whatever. And that's fun. So I don't know if that's like a straight answer. I mean, I think the live experience, that to me is, I think that's at my foundation and at my heart. So I probably would pick that one, but I love film and voiceover as well.
Now you said voiceover, but for someone like me who I don't know what it is, what are you doing, or what is a voiceover?
When you go on, even like the voiceover is everywhere. It's such a varied facet of the business where it could be when you can turn on your television, you're like, the new 2021 Dodge Lamona. That sort of, you have the car commercial, the voices that you hear, or sometimes life hurts. That's why we have Centrum Silver. You hear the voices, the voices in the commercials that are, helping to tell the story or tell you about the product. And then there's audiobooks is another where you listen to audio on audible.com or on CDs from the library or streaming online, where you have a lot of these really talented voice actors who are telling stories, and you just put your earphones on and listen to these, compelling performances. And then there's animation, where you hear, all the gee whiz, what are we going to do today? You hear all these kind of silly, it's just so varied, but it's the voice component that your actors are playing roles or doing narration, or even to the point you're like, voiceover is even like when you call somebody, you're like, thank you very much for calling our business. Your call is important to us. Dial 1 to talk to a real person. Dial 2, just go back to number 1. Dial 3 if you're getting frustrated. That's voiceover too. And there's a lot of people who do that really well for business and all of that. So I kind of tend to lean into commercial and audition. That's kind of what I've been leaning towards in the last few years. I've always gotten auditions from my agents to do voiceover and all that, and then it was just in the last 3 years I've seriously working to level my game up with getting a good system and getting some proper coaching and really trying to up my game so that I can because it's a very competitive,
Yeah.
um, part of our business. So, you want to do the best you can, but still be authentic and be you because it's just, and it's just a joy. The whole process is a joy. But,
Is there
but
one voiceover that you've done already that we could listen for, or that
um,
stands out that's your favorite, or that
I did one that I had to sign a non-disclosure
okay,
agreement, so I can't really
okay,
say, but I've got samples of some of my commercial demo. I'm working to kind of show some other examples
okay.
of things I've done. I've done some audio drama, so I hope to have those clips up on my website very, very soon. So, hopefully I'll have some more things for you to listen to there. But
Okay. You have a very smooth voice. It's very calming to listen to. It's
oh,
absolutely wonderful. Do you have to
thank you.
do anything special to take care of it so that you don't strain it, or so that you don't, so you keep it? I mean, it's really is soothing. You could listen to you forever.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. I try not to yell too much, we don't wanna I mean, I've done movies where I've had to yell and scream and stuff, and by the end of it, I'm, like, drinking tons of tea, warm tea or drink and I always I drink so much water during a day. I just try to keep from straining my voice too much as well as, keeping hydrated. And I know other voiceover people that in the last 2 years, I've, like, really cracked into the voiceover community, and there's some lovely, just beautifully, they're so gracious with their information when I'm like, "How did you do that?" Or, "What do you do if this happens?" Everybody's so gracious with sharing information, and there's so many things that people do from, um, drinking a hot tea with lemon, and then there was something called oiling, which was like they take certain essence oils and use that to keep their vocal cords lubricated. And I couldn't even begin to get into it, but
Mhm.
I just try um, not to yell too much and warm up a little bit before I go before I go on mic.
Mhm.
So, and I'm still learning, so I'm always open to any other suggestions that work for people. But
Okay. It said also that you were a writer. So what type of writing are you doing? Are you doing like stories, or just commercials, or
I've always written stories ever since I was young. I was always uh handwriting stories and drawing the pictures when I was really, really very, very young. And then in my early teens, my dad got me like an old, like Remington typewriter from the 30s, like a really old antique. And I would pump out stories and poems and bad scripts and everything. I was learning my craft on that. So and I've still got that typewriter. I don't use it, but I always joke that my dad bought me that was my first word processor, that I got. In recent years, it's mostly like um, short story scripts, short films.
Mhm.
I've had the pleasure of working with several people in a competition called the 48-hour film project,
oh yeah,
in
okay.
which they do it all over the world, all over the United States. And you put together a team of filmmakers and actors. You don't know what you're going to do. You randomly draw a genre, a type of film, like you might do like an action film or a romance
Mhm.
or a science fiction or a scary film. And then you have a couple of prerequisite. You have to have like one line of dialogue. It could be something as innocuous as like, "Oh, do whatever you want to do." You know, that's a requisite. You have to put that in your script. And then there's like two characters that you have to put in there. So you come up with you have to take these parameters and yet still develop, a compelling little story. And that's always been a great challenge to try to come up with stories and collaborate with people. And I've been very lucky to do some really fun little films like that. Like the very first one we ever did was a short 7-minute romance film called Imagine This. I think it's on my IMDb page. And that was something that we did. And I got to work with some incredible local cinematographers, and we co-directed it and co-wrote it. And we won for Best Picture in our city in Columbus that year, which was like really kind of blew us away because they were like calling our names, and we were sitting there in the audience like, that's not us. You know, none of us, and especially me, like I've never known what it's like to be the cool kid or the popular kid. So when people, we were calling your name, you're like, wait, that's got to be somebody else. But that was a really, a lovely thing that people really liked what it was what we had created. So that kind of goes back to, something you write a script and or a short piece or a web series or something that you do that people that really talk to people or they really enjoy it or entertain them for that long. That's very humbling to do that. So I like to write a good script that touches people in some way or the other. I feel like I was rambling on that. I'm sorry.
No, it's very good. Thank you.
Okay.
And the last one for me is,
Okay.
if you chose one movie that you would want to be remembered by, or that stands out, that I've done it, this is fine, I want my family to remember this.
That's a good question. I've been lucky to work on so many film projects. That's kind of hard to say. That's like saying, who's your favorite
Who's your favorite child?
Who's your favorite child, right? I mean, I love them all. I mean,
Yeah.
The ones that people kind of get that kind of come back to me even years after I've done that are like, I did a film called Believe. That was kind of a Christmassy sort of a family picture, and people still come back to me and tell me how much they like that one. And a runaway romance, people like that, that's such a hard question. I think I'm just kind of like, if any of the work that I ever do touches somebody or makes them laugh or something, gives them some enjoyment or lifts them up. I mean, I'm honored to have done all of them. And if one of the more family oriented pictures I've done, becomes a thing that I've had people go like, oh, our family watches this at Christmas. I'm like, that is so touching and so humbling.
Yeah.
If I, whenever it's time for me to go, then people will remember how I made them feel by watching any of the films I did. So, and it made them feel good for a while, then again, that's just humbling and very inspiring to me. So.
One last question.
Oh, okay. No, I'm good.
Sorry. She's good.
I'm sorry, Ruth.
No,
nothing.
Paula,
I got my book.
Okay.
I always have my pad ready. If you
that's just the front of the page.
I know I got two sides, but I'm only doing one today. So,
that's okay.
If you have spare time, do you have a hobby? Like, are you bowling or knitting or jumping out of a plane or anything like that?
I used to bowl, not so much anymore, although I think that's still on the special skills section of my resume.
Okay.
I have yet to jump out of an airplane. I think I've just been challenged, so I may have to do that in the near future.
Tell me when and where, and I'll meet
when and where. She'll hear me screaming like a baby all the way from. I could hear him from 10,000 feet. What a baby,
I would too.
In between, when I'm not studying or trying to keep up on my craft or make a film or whatever, I like to do things that really inspire my creativity. Sometimes it's really good to just kind of walk away from the movie acting part of it and then just go. I like to go take hiking in local preserves and nature. That is like going to church for me. It's like when I can get out and just get some quiet and hear the wind in the trees, and that really just fills me up like nothing. And then I like going to, going to museums and taking pictures. I recently dumped about 3 years worth of pictures off of my smartphone. I didn't realize I had kept all those. And I was like, boy, and I was like, that's 3 years of my life that I've had different pictures. And I have people going, like, why don't you put that up on Instagram? And I'm like, maybe, but we put so much of our lives up online anymore. I'm like, I like to keep a little bit for myself, just to, but nature, photography, museums, just or seeing old friends I don't get to see all the time and hanging out and laughing until my face hurts. That's been a long time since that's happened. And I'm looking forward to when I can get together with some people, because I have some friends that are just, if you're lucky to have one or two friends that are so funny, genuinely funny, that you are crying and your face hurts and your sides hurt and your stomach hurt, that's a good day to me. And that's a good friend to do that. And that's kind of what I try to do with everybody, it's like, I want you, if you meet me once, I want you to feel good about it. I don't want you to be like, that guy, because we have enough of those people, right? I don't want to be that actor or that guy. I want to be like, oh my gosh, he was so fun to work with. Let's bring him again. And again, that's what I'm saying. Be nice to everybody you meet, because you never know where that's going to lead you in life. Wonderful things can happen if you're just open to life and genuine, and just try to love everybody. And there's a lot of people who challenge you to do that, but you just have to just be kind. I can't say that enough. Just be kind. And
I thank you ever so much. This has been a delight, and you have made my day. So thank you.
I'm humbled, Paula. Thank you so much. Those were wonderful questions.
Yes. Yeah. She always comes with these incredible questions. That's why
That's great. Next, she's going to have her own podcast.
I know. I'm looking for that.
Just a few months ago, Paula actually stepped out of an airplane at 10,000 feet, and it is the most inspiring video to watch.
Oh, wow.
I sat and cried. I mean, I've watched it a couple of times, and I've just sat and cried. It's just so inspiring. So Ruth needs to send that to you if you want to be inspired.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And what she has accomplished in her life, it is just incredible. And it's an amazing video. So Thank you, though. I so enjoyed listening to you so very, very much. Thank you. It was an inspiration.
Thank you so much.
It was, I just really enjoyed it very much. And just the words you had to say about how you treat people and how we need to remember to treat one another were just very inspiring and a good reminder. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Neva. That means I deeply appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you can see I owe a lot to that woman. You definitely, because
you raised a good one there, Neva.
Yeah, she's pretty incredible. We could go on, but yes, Paula did post that video. I definitely
you'll have to send me the link. I'd love to watch it. I didn't know Paula was such a daredevil. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Okay,
she's dropped the gauntlet now. Your turn to jump on an airplane there.
That's true. Yeah. You didn't know that's where this podcast was headed. You didn't know what you were going to get that on.
Boy.
Well, I just wanted to thank you too. It's been very inspiring. But
thank you, Ruth.
A couple different voices. And do you do other impersonations? You did the little something. So do you do it?
That's just one of the voices I annoy my family with. I'm always practicing, going like, doing some kind of a, playing around with different ones. And sometimes, and I don't do any impressions, per se, but sometimes when you try to do somebody and you do it so badly, you have like wow, that's a new character voice I could use. There's some, I don't do celebrities. I just do silly voices, and then you try to marry the silly voice with an authentic performance, so that you've got the acting component, but then you still have that that touch of whimsy or silliness to it. So that's always a challenge to try to, come up with some new things. And anytime that people give you the opportunity to do that, I'm like, I am there. I'm like, let's put these headphones on, get that mic. I'm ready to, you got to be afraid not to look like a complete and utter fool. And then sometimes you just look so silly. And if you can get over being like, don't worry about being silly in front of people, because at that point they're like, what do you have to be afraid of? You can go jump out of an airplane at 10,000 feet. Just saying. But I drive my family crazy because I'll be, trying to, why don't we try to do a voice like this, or something, or the television will be, they're doing the voiceover on the commercial, and I'm sitting there repeating it. The new 2022 Dodge Lamona, now for 3.9 APR, all that sort of thing. And they're like, what are you doing? Thankfully I have a supportive, loving family that they're just gonna like, just let him do his thing. He's just, and it's taken them a long time to come to that, but it's, I'm naturally silly, I guess, because, it's just one of those, I don't know. I'm not like Peter Pan. It's like I don't want to grow up, but I'm sort of like, life's pretty good, so let's just have fun while we're all here, right? I'm sorry. My answer was like way longer than your question there, Ruth. So I'm sorry.
That's good. Yeah, it's fun. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, so is there anything that's recently out or that's coming up that
I've got a couple of things. The most recent project that I did came out, and it's another family film. It's like a really fun and silly film called what's it called? Let me look this up real quick. Right. I have to look it up. Okay. Secret Agent Dingledorf and his trusty dog Splat. That's the title. It's just a lighthearted family kids film. I got a call from the director Billy Dixon. I worked with him a few years ago on the film Believe. And they were great to work with. And I worked with him and the star Ryan O'Quinn, two just great people to work with that I hope to work with again if you guys are listening. So let's get the band back together. I got a call from them or a DM on my Twitter, I don't remember. And they're like, we've got this role in this film that we're doing and wrapping up. We'd like you to do it. So I was like, count me in. So I was on an airplane to LA, and I played this. I got to play a secret agent who's being interrogated by this evil clown criminal named Dr. Giggles. And it's and if you want another fun film for kids and for family, check it out. I think you can stream that on Prime Video as well. But it's just a lighthearted, fun film, and I was just so pleased to work with good people I'd worked with before, and just again be a small part of that big silly film. So that's the latest project. I mean, I've been auditioning for other things, and as any working actors do. And the strange thing is, it's like you work with self tapes and Zoom and all that stuff. I don't have to go. I haven't been into a casting agent for a long time, which I miss the interaction, but it's amazing how we are just all brought together by technology, how that kind of cuts across and just levels the playing field for everybody. I love that. But yeah, there's you can check out my IMDb here, or my website or whatever, and there are links to the work. If not, that you can just Google it. A lot of things are on video. Some of the smaller projects I've done are kind of scattered all over. So you can find them here and then, or just shoot me an email through my website, and if I can find you a link, I'll be more than happy to send it to you and share it, and hopefully it makes you smile.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's great. Well, Well, you have certainly. This has been such a fun time getting to really talk with you. You have shared so much. So, thank you so much for that.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you so much. I'm humbled for the invitation to be here and to be interviewed by the lovely Ruth Hill yet again. So this has been a lot of fun and great questions, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, very great. Yeah, it's. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and so thank you. And so, if you guys want to unmute and thank him, feel free that you can certainly do that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here with us. And again, Ruth, thank you for having me on here. I am thrilled to death that you've been producing this podcast, and I look forward to many episodes to come. It's a good thing you're doing.
Well, thank you.
Keep doing good. Make good things happen.
That's right. That's
right.
Ruth is amazing.
Well, thank you.
Yes, she is.
Well, thank you, you guys. I'm humbled, and you all are honestly such a big part of it. I mean, everybody here. There are those times where I'll think, is anybody going to show up for the audience this time? Because I know it's not a big star. So are they going to show up? And it just means, I cannot tell you what it means to continue to have these people show up and then my guests have such a great experience. It's been a phenomenal experience for every one of my guests. I've heard good things. And so
that is wonderful. And let me know when this airs. I'll be more than happy to let everybody I know and everybody on my social media to check out the Media from the Heart. Well, here, let me put this on at the end here for you. Hi, I'm Scott Summit, and you're watching the podcast Media from the Heart with your host, Ruth Hill.
Oh, wow. Now I've got, I
like that.
I really like that. Well, I certainly know.
Cut that out of there, and you can use that as your.
Thanks. I will.
You're so welcome.
I will.
You're so welcome. This has been so much fun. And again, I thank you all so much for being interested in my work. And I wish you all the very best. Let's make this, get out of this pandemic funk and put some good stuff out. Start the quote unquote positivity revolution. Do something nice for somebody.
There you go.
And you'll be so surprised what happens when you see what the power that you got, the power of positivity, everybody.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you,
again.
Scott.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you, Ruth.
Baby.
All right. Well, you guys all have a great
evening, great rest of your week, and I'll see you all later.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, I don't know about you, but starting off season 2 with such an incredible guest as Scott Summit and his positivity revolution, I mean, come on. Aren't we all ready for this? Who is tired of Twitter wars and unfriending people on Facebook and getting all stuck in politics and who said what and who did what to when and where and how? Let's stop all that. And let's get out and take Scott's advice and do something that's going to spark positivity and be kind. That's what we need in this world. And I'm so honored that such an amazing individual as Scott was on my podcast. I hope that all of you will check out the notes that you can follow Scott and find out what he's up to next and where his next adventure is. Also, the fact that you are here, that makes me feel so incredible. I can't even tell you. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, if you would rate, review, subscribe, I'd be honored. If you are on YouTube, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. That'd be awesome, because that means that I can continue to bring you more incredible episodes like this. We're kicking off season 2 with a huge bang here, and I have so many exciting things for you in the near future. So if you are not a part of the Facebook group, you're invited. Join my Facebook group. You can be a part of the virtual audience. That's your ticket. So please do it. I am so glad that every one of you is here. I pray over you now that you will take Scott's advice? Make a difference in the world for somebody else today. You can be the spark that changes this world for the better. I look forward to seeing you soon on another episode of Media from the Heart. God bless.